Madame, Monsieur, merci de rester sur la CRTV. Bonjour et bienvenue aux 12h. Hello Emmanuela.
Hello Nicole Doudou.
Vous avez les titres du journal en langue anglaise.
Roman Catholic Christians the world over are marking Ash Wednesday today, a day which begins the Lenten period, 40 days to remember Christ's suffering in the wilderness for 40 days and 40 nights up to his death on the cross. The masses during this day see the affixment on the foreheads of Christians ash to remind them that they are dust, and unto dust they shall return. The National School of Local Administration, NASLA, launches an in-service training for staff of the institution. The intention is to upgrade their knowledge in local administration and many more. To this effect, we receive NASLA's Director General, Tanya Tikubaye, as guest on this edition of the Midday News. And when the Baka Pygmies set aside a week to magnify the place of traditional medicine in public health, it gives way for massive treatment of ailments using herbs, sounds and colors of the Ejinge Malolo Cultural Festival in Boissan village in Minduru in the east region of Cameroon as a feature page on this edition of the news. And those are our latest stories.
I urge you once again to put on your face masks, to wash your hands regularly, and to consult a physician or any other health personnel if you notice any symptoms. This is the only way to save lives and to curb the spread of the virus.
Et à ces demi-heures d'information bilingue sur la CRTV. Le carême commence, les chrétiens observent le mercredi des cendres, aujourd'hui 17 février 2021. Le carême lui-même étant un temps liturgique de 40 jours de partage, de jeûne et de pénitence. Pour la grande compréhension de ce temps qui est le socle de la foi chrétienne, Monseigneur Jean Barga s'est confié à notre reporter, Bina Barga.
« 2021 commence effectivement demain par le mercredi des cendres. Ce sera 40 jours de marche vers Pâques. Nous allons rentrer dans un temps pour nous ressourcer spirituellement et tenter de refaire comme un itinéraire de vie où tous les aspects de salut peuvent s'exprimer. Il nous faut des actes de solidarité. Nous ressourcer à la parole de Dieu et aussi l'annoncer. Être solidaire de toutes ces souffrances humaines pendant le carême dans les capacités qui sont les nôtres.
Nous parlons de l'actualité dans le judiciaire. Dans la suite du journal, l'ambassade des États-Unis aux côtés du barreau. Le renforcement des capacités des acteurs en charge de produire les lois. Un projet de financement a été lancé hier à Yaoundé. C'était en présence du ministre délégué auprès du ministre de la Justice, Jean de Dieu Momon. Les détails dans ce reportage. La convention de subvention projet par la JPEL, Cameroon Bar Association, signée le 30 septembre 2020, vise la mise sur pied d'une stratégie pour améliorer les lois. Le barreau devra se rapprocher des parlementaires et des conseillers municipaux.
Nous allons commencer par les parlementaires et dans 2 mois, nous allons attaquer les différents conseillers municipaux dans toutes les régions. Et enfin, évidemment, il y a un pan qui est réservé aux journalistes, simplement pour la visibilité du projet d'une part, mais surtout pour qu'on puisse essayer de rendre visible aussi l'ensemble des textes de loi que nous allons travailler.
Il s'agit d'améliorer durablement le processus et les procédures d'élaboration, de promotion et de production de tous les textes législatifs et réglementaires. L'initiative entend apporter aux parlementaires et aux élus locaux des outils nécessaires à la connaissance du processus. Partenariat salué par le barreau.
Nous sommes dans un domaine par excellence de ce que l'avocat, avec l'outil de travail qu'est la loi, peut faire pour obtenir en vue de l'amélioration et d'une meilleure application de la loi dans le pays. C'est un partenariat qui coule quasiment de source.
Le projet, étendu sur une année civile, sera divisé en 3 phases principales.
Like you heard in one of our lead stories, today is Ash Wednesday, a day which begins the Lenten period for the Roman Catholic Christians. It is marked by holy masses during which the ash is affixed on the foreheads of Christians to remind them that they are dust, and unto dust they shall return. This period is said to be the peak of the faith of Christians and is marked, often characterized by prayer, fasting, and almsgiving. To this effect, our reporter Alice Mbe interviewed the Archbishop of Yaoundé, his Grace Jean Baga. Take a listen.
The Lent is a liturgical moment to prepare the feast of Easter. 40 days when we try to imitate Christ, following all the aspects of his life. During the Lent, Christian people are called to show their faith in many ways.
On to other news now. A project to improve the interpretation and implementation of laws in Cameroon has been launched in Yaoundé, with the hope of reinforcing justice in all spheres. Members of the Cameroon Bar Association and the U.S. Embassy are putting hands on deck to ensure that this prevails. The seminar yesterday was chaired by the Minister Jean de Dieu Momo. For more details, Sidonie Jormandi.
See that those laws that are enacted are
putting into action the project to assist legislative arm of government by improving on the process of drafting laws was at the center of discussions between members of the U.S. Embassy and the Cameroon Bar.
The U.S. Embassy will go a step further to see that those laws that are enacted are equally implemented, because Cameroon has very good laws. The problem is at the level of implementation. It is a win-win because the society will benefit eventually.
Both parties came together to see how they can ameliorate the way laws are enacted in Cameroon.
Implementing those laws is primordial, because if you have good laws and you don't implement them, it goes to no issue.
Experts in the domain of law through this project will also be trained on how to better interpret and apply laws to specific cases.
The National School of Local Administration, NASLA, has launched course for an in-service training for the staff of the institution. And as guest on this edition of the Midday News, we shall be receiving the Director General. But before that, we go over to CRTV Southwest in Boya for a presentation of the National School of Local Administration. It's done by one of our reporters in the Southwest.
At the National School of Local Administration, the Director General says there is no time to waste. Serious rehabilitation works are being done in order to update the school so that it can be able to receive its first batch, CAM 2021, since it moved from Local Government Training Center to NASLA. In terms of training, the Director General intimated that the programs have been reviewed to meet the needs and aspirations of today's councils.
The instrument setting of the school permits us to do both initial training and in-service training. Now, for the first group, which is initial training, we will be recruiting or admitting students, anybody who will meet the entrance requirements. We have Cycle A, which will be for first degree holders. We have a Cycle B, which will be for advanced level holders. And we have a Cycle C for ordinary level holders, and their equivalents in the French subsystem. So when the entrance exam will be launched, everybody who has this qualification for the various levels will be free to sit for the entrance exam. That will be for initial training. This initial
Our guest on this edition of the Midday News is the Director General of the National School of Local Administration, NASLA, Mr. Tanye Tikubaye. Good afternoon and welcome.
Good afternoon, madam.
Like we just saw on that report that is coming from CRTV Southwest, NASLA has launched an in-service training, and we know the degree creating the school equally talks of initial training. Can you differentiate between the two for our viewers?
Yes. Thank you once more, madam, for giving us the opportunity of explaining to your viewers and our public the differences between these types of training. For initial training, it is open to degree holders who want to enter the decentralization and local development market through the process of a competitive entrance exam into the school. It is open to holders of advanced levels, first degree, and ordinary level, and their equivalents in French. This training lasts for 2 years. On the other hand, in-service training is reserved for professionals, people already working, either in the public service like the government, or local and regional authorities, in NGOs, or other operators in the local development and decentralization domain, either national or international, who want to perfect themselves or want to acquire additional skills to be able to better function in this environment. That is the main difference between initial training and in-service training.
And can we have an idea of the content? We are in the area of decentralization, and your institution is at the core. What will be the content of this in-service training?
Yes. First of all, in terms of organization, we have structured it into two main branches. We will have one which will be for the management of administrative and social services, and another one for economic development and management of local finances. For administration of public and social services, we will have two options: general administration and management of local social services. Economic development and management of local finances will have management of local finances and economic development. Now, in terms of content, the content in reality are a direct consequence of some findings that we did. We did a sampling in local and regional authorities in 2020, and we realized that there was most local authorities had very many people staffing the financial services and services in charge of material. They were very, very understaffed in terms of administrative, social, and technical services. But then, it is those administrative, social, and technical services that have a direct impact on improving the lives of the population. So we thought that we should tailor our training to be able to capacitate professionals already in the field in areas that will directly impact.
Yes, Mr. Director General, you are launching an in-service and an initial training. NASLA is a new baby, barely a year old. Will you be able, do you have the capacity to accommodate the two?
Well, for now, we have launched the in-service training. With our supervisory authority, we are finalizing preparations for the initial training. We have a challenge, which is accommodation space. But luckily, we have had the support of the government, and they have attributed to us to use the campus of the former P&T school. They had an old campus that we are rehabilitating that could, in the meantime, receive some trainees of NASLA. The Ministry of Public Works, too, has given us a building in the P&T school. They are next in Boya. So if we combine this with the present campus that we inherited from the defunct CEFAM, I think it will be a tight squeeze, but we can manage.
Okay, now, Mr. Director General, next month, by the 2nd of March, if I'm not mistaken, your school should be a year old. Can we know briefly the balance sheet of NASLA so far and the prospects?
Oh, yes. So far, we have been mostly involved in the back office work that it takes to set up a school. And so we have been preparing all the legal and regulatory instruments necessary for the functioning of the school. We also developed the training programs you've talked about. And on the sidelines of that, we have had the support of the government, which has put at our disposal some resources to start the infrastructural development of the school. So there's work currently ongoing on a number of new buildings, rehabilitation, and so that is what has been going on all this while. On the sidelines of that, we have also been continuing with the training of the students of the former CFAM who are still on our campus, and we are finalizing their training. They're going to be graduating in the weeks ahead. So that's what we have been doing as well.
For the interest of our French-speaking viewers, Mr. Director General, what is the main message you want to pass across to them for this in-service training, the prospects for initial and maybe the competitive entrance exams? When will it even be launched?
Bon, je voudrais dire pour votre audience d'expression française que pour les formations initiales, les préparatifs sont en cours. Et donc, pour ceux qui sont intéressés par ce type de formation, il suffit de patienter encore un peu. Pour les formations continues que nous avons lancées, nous nous adressons aux professionnels déjà en activité dans le domaine du développement local et de la décentralisation. Il est indispensable qu'avec la mise en place effective des régions et l'accroissement des interactions entre les collectivités, les services de l'État, les ONG et les autres opérateurs dans le domaine, que nous ayons un personnel déjà en activité, capable sur le très court ou moyen terme de rapidement être opérationnel dans ce nouvel environnement avec les nouvelles compétences et les nouveaux défis qui vont se poindre à l'horizon. Donc il est important en ce moment qu'eux aussi viennent se faire former. Les gens sont très attirés par les formations initiales parce que c'est ça qui donne à ceux qui n'avaient pas encore une situation sociale, parce que ça intéresse beaucoup de gens, une possibilité. Mais à notre avis, les formations initiales sont importantes, mais les formations continues aussi.
Thank you very much, Tani Tikubaye, the Director General of NASLA, for coming to talk to the CRTV. And you stay with us, sir. Nico.
Oui, Emmanuela, dans la suite du journal, nous restons toujours en éducation. Le corps enseignant de l'Université de Yaoundé 2 s'enrichit d'un docteur en sciences politiques. Bertrand Michel Maïni a soutenu avec brio sa thèse PhD sur le thème « Bureaucratie parlementaire et dynamique du pouvoir législatif en Afrique, analyse comparée cas camerounais et béninois ». Les temps forts de la soutenance dans ce reportage, signé Willy Abena, Somba.
Le grade de docteur en sciences politiques avec la mention très honorable.
Le désormais docteur Bertrand Michel Maïni fait son entrée dans le cercle élitiste de docteurs en croix PhD en sciences politiques. Il a soutenu avec brio sa thèse sur le thème « Bureaucratie parlementaire et dynamique du pouvoir législatif en Afrique, analyse comparée cas camerounais et béninois ».
C'est un sentiment de joie, c'est un sentiment de bout du tunnel, lorsqu'on sait que le travail de thèse est fastidieux.
Au bout d'à peu près 2h30 de temps, le candidat Michel Maïni a fini par convaincre à l'unanimité le jury réuni à la salle des actes de l'Université de Yaoundé 2 et présidé par le professeur Fabien Cotte. Le nouveau docteur enrichit la faculté de sciences juridiques et politiques.
En réalité, le candidat a fait un travail original, exceptionnel, qui visait à analyser la contribution des bureaucraties parlementaires à la dynamique du pouvoir législatif en Afrique.
Le seuil du cursus académique atteint, prochain challenge pour le docteur Bertrand Michel Maïni. Poursuivre la recherche, à l'image de ses directeurs de thèse, le professeur Nadine Machikou et le professeur Sedakban Igin Foskakai. Des références en sciences politiques.
Promotion de l'entrepreneuriat, la deuxième édition du Forum africain des femmes entrepreneurs se tiendra en novembre prochain au Palais des Congrès de Yaoundé. Annonce de la présidente de la plateforme, Rose Mangele, était reçue hier mardi en audience par le ministre des Petites et Moyennes Entreprises, de l'économie sociale et de l'artisanat. Le contenu des échanges dans cet extrait de la présidente du FAFE au micro de Daniel Menanga.
Nous avons été accompagnés à la première édition du FAFE par le ministre, par ses équipes. Nous avons reçu leur soutien, nous avons reçu leur accompagnement, que ce soit pendant la préparation ou pendant le déroulement du Forum africain des femmes entrepreneurs. Ensuite, nous voulions lui remettre officiellement Les conclusions de ce forum. En novembre 2021 se tiendra la 2e édition du FAFE à Yaoundé, au Palais des Congrès, et une fois de plus solliciter l'accompagnement de son département ministériel.
Je vous exhorte de nouveau à porter vos masques, à vous laver régulièrement les mains et à faire appel à un médecin ou à tout autre personnel de santé au cas où des symptômes apparaissent. C'est le seul moyen de préserver les vies et de freiner la propagation du virus.
Dans l'actualité aussi, ce mercredi, l'école militaire interarmée célèbre ses pensionnaires rendus en fin de formation. Une semaine d'activité est ouverte, cross-country, tôt ce matin à travers les artères de la ville de Yaoundé. Voyons cela dans ce reportage de Robert Badjek.
Promotion, paix et unité, c'est leur nom de baptême. Après 36 mois de formation, les 205 pensionnaires de l'école militaire Interam ont eu droit, comme il est de coutume, à la semaine des aspirants marquée par diverses activités. Pour cette journée de mercredi, la levée des couleurs et la séance d'étirement font office de mise en bouche avant le plat de résistance. Un cross-country dans les artères de la ville de Yaoundé avec en bonne place la haute hiérarchie comme pour prêcher par l'exemple.
Ce matin, nous avons déjà assisté, nous avons pris part à un cross de cohésion avec différents établissements de la place pour essayer, n'est-ce pas, de tisser des liens d'amitié, pour qu'il y ait un esprit de cohésion et qu'au final, lorsque sur le terrain ils pourront se retrouver, que les barrières soient a priori déjà mises de côté.
Ils chantent et s'encouragent mutuellement comme un symbole par ces temps où la paix et l'unité sont mises à l'épreuve dans notre pays. Plus qu'un simple slogan, la manifestation du diptyque Armée-Nation s'observe à travers la présence d'autres grandes écoles de la place, à l'instar de l'Institut national de la jeunesse et des sports, l'École nationale supérieure des travaux publics et bien d'autres. L'apothéose de la semaine des aspirants, ce sera lors de la soirée culturelle demain, un autre moment de communion pour la 38e promotion aux portes de la sortie et désormais prête à servir la patrie avec honneur et fidélité.
And like you just saw there, week-long activities leading up to the graduation of the 38th batch of students of the Combined Services Military Academy, EMIA, are underway in Yaoundé. Sporting activity across country, across the city, has just ended with other activities planned for the week. Daniel Ekonde has more.
A cross-city run of 6 kilometers is what the students of the Combined Services Military Academy, EMIA, aimed at on this day. That's after following a routine they have done for 3 years. The 3 years capped off by this near 1 week outdoor program is to prepare the young military officers for service.
Every batch, when he has finished the training, organize some activities during a week. We say the week of a batch in the same way that the batch Peace and Unity, the 38th batch of the school, organize some activities.
Over 200 in number, the lads soldiered round their institution along with other tertiary schools invited.
They have invited many others, training schools, ENAM, ENGS, ISAM, and Polytechnic.
The 38th batch of students will round up the activity this Thursday when they'll start preparing for graduation by the end of this month.
Our feature page on this edition of the news takes you to Boissan, a village in Minduru, East region of Cameroon, to be part of the Ejinge Malolo Festival of the Baka Pygmies. The cultural showcase, currently ongoing, is in its 3rd edition and lays emphasis on traditional medicine and public health, when tradition and spirituality merge for the good of the population. Watch.
Echoes of the forest people from the depth of their natural habitat, an invitation for anyone hearing this to witness what is about to happen. and indeed their most cherished heritage, the parade of the initiated, meets the curiosity of visitors. Ejinge Malolo Festival of the Baka Pygmies of Boissang in Minduru East region of Cameroon for the third time has embraced a multicultural dimension. The culture of this forest people is displayed in all its forms, from the cultural items to food. The representative of the Minister of Arts and Culture seems impressed.
We have lived an exceptional celebration of our cultural diversity. The Ministry of Art and Culture is here to accompany local festivals with necessary support to reinforce national cohesion.
A feast for all, a discovery for others, but more so an exchange forum for some too. Yet the festival this year X-rays the importance of traditional medicine in public health.
Concerning illness, fortunately, as I've been suffering with my children for a long time, they just direct us to Papa Josh to go and continue the treatment. So as that is where we receive the healing. We learn the different way of cultural activities, dancing, singing, just as I've done there. And they will also learn their own, how to sing and dance also.
The mystical dance is prohibited from being filmed. The organizers think it is a way to preserve the mystery of the Baka Pygmies. To them, there is more about these people that meets the eye.
I've also learned more traditional medicines, and I also learned more how to interact with other cultures.
The third edition of the Ejinge Malolo Festival will not be complete without the visit to the natural habitat of the Baka people.
About 500 athletes are expected to take part in this year's Mount Cameroon Race of Hope, slated for February 27, 2021. A preparatory meeting to this effect involving the organizers and the Ministry of Sports and Physical Education laid emphasis on the strict respect of COVID-19 barrier measures. Daniel Ekonge.
In attendance were delegations from the Ministries of Sports, Defense, Communication, Health and External Relations, all in a bid to put together their plans on how to pull off the race. In its 26th edition, the Mount Cameroon Race of Hope will have about 500 athletes from Cameroon and 11 other countries.
Well, we have the junior category, we have the senior category, we have the veterans and the relay. Because of the COVID-19 pandemic, we are going to make sure that they have different points of departures.
The journey to this year's edition started weeks ago with preparatory races in 7 regions.
The Governor of Southwest Region signed the decision appointing members of the local organizing committee last 2 weeks, and they all started working. The track of the mountain is very set. We are doing finishing touches.
February 26 to 27 is the schedule for the grand race in Boya, where Reverend Father Walter Stifter, the first man to win the race 3 times in a row, who died recently, will be posthumously remembered.
Et voilà qui met fin à cette édition bilingue de la mi-journée sur la CRTV. Madame, Monsieur, merci d'avoir suivi. Très belle journée sur les antennes de la CRTV. À demain, Emmanuela.
See you tomorrow, Nicole. Thanks for watching, ladies and gentlemen. Take care.
Despite our efforts, COVID-19 plunged many families into mourning and seriously hampered the functioning of our economy and society.
CRTV News, ici,
toute l'info